All right, today we're going to dig into a massive shift that's happening in the real estate industry. I mean, it's a really fundamental change in how the whole game is played, moving from an old, kind of broken playbook to a new, much smarter approach.
So let's start with a number that's, well, it's pretty staggering. In a recent year, the real estate industry generated tens of millions of leads. That sounds like a huge ocean of potential customers, right?
But here's the reality check. In that same exact year, only about 4 to 5 million homes were actually sold. That is a tiny, tiny fraction of that initial massive number. So you have to ask, where did all the others go? I mean, this huge gap, it isn't just a fun fact. It points to a really deep, fundamental problem with how the industry actually operates. And this brings us right to the heart of the issue, what we're calling the real estate lead problem. See, it's not about a lack of interest. It's all about the quality of that interest. So here's the crucial point. The market is absolutely flooded with volume, names, emails, clicks, but it is starved for signal, the actual data that tells you about someone's real intent, their timing, and who you should prioritize. It's this massive structural imbalance of just noise over clarity. But why? Why is the system so inefficient? To really get that, we need to look at the economic engine that created this whole problem in the first place. For a long time, the dominant force has been what's called the portal-driven lead model, and its core business model tells you everything you need to know. These platforms are designed to sell attention, eyeballs, and clicks. They are not designed to figure out who is genuinely ready to buy or sell a home. This slide just lays it out perfectly, right? The two completely opposite philosophies. On the left, you've got that old portal-driven model, which rewards volume. It's basically like shouting in a packed stadium and hoping someone hears you. On the right, you have the new readiness-driven model, which rewards intelligence. It's about listening for that quiet whisper of genuine intent. For agents out there on the ground, this has created a super tough economic reality. They are, in effect, forced to rent their own zip code from these massive advertising platforms. They're constantly paying just to be seen by people in their own backyards, and a lot of the time, the returns just keep getting smaller. But you know what? This broken system isn't just inefficient anymore. It's actually becoming unsustainable. There's a whole wave of external changes putting immense pressure on this old way of doing things. We're seeing commission compression, big calls for more transparency. High interest rates are creating what's called a payment lock situation, which limits inventory because homeowners just don't want to sell. And on top of all that, consumers are out there researching for way, way longer before they're ever ready to even talk to an agent. All of this pressure is forcing an evolution, one that's long overdue. The industry has to shift its focus from just chasing volume to searching for something much, much more valuable. And that new currency, the real answer to all the noise, is signal. This one word represents the entire future competitive advantage in real estate. So, what even is signal? Well, it's the ability to use data to identify a consumer's intent to move before they raise their hand and go public with it. It's about knowing, not guessing, and that is what creates a true, sustainable competitive edge. Now, signal isn't just some vague idea. It's built from really concrete things. You've got predictive scoring, which analyzes data to forecast who might move. You've got behavioral data, which shows you what people are actually doing online. Database reactivation helps you find opportunities in your old, cold leads. And intent identification pulls it all together. So this shift to signal, it fundamentally changes how a real estate business operates. The new mantra is all about working smarter, not just generating more and more leads that ultimately go nowhere. What this really boils down to is a move away from reactive marketing, waiting for a lead to pop up and then chasing it, and moving towards building a proactive infrastructure, a system that is constantly sifting for opportunities and surfacing them for you automatically. So here's how it actually works in practice. It's pretty simple. First, you score your entire dormant database, which is like a forgotten gold mine for most agents, seriously. Second, you use these predictive models to identify that small handful of people who are most likely to move. And then third, you automate compliant, personalized outreach to start the conversation. Which, of course, brings us right back to the central idea of this whole explainer. What if the real lasting advantage isn't volume at all, but signal? And this, for me, is the most exciting part. This kind of technology isn't just for the big corporate giants. It actually levels the playing field. It gives individual agents, small brokers, and independent investors access to the kind of corporate level intelligence that, until now, was totally out of reach. Okay, so what does this mean for your business over the next few years? Well, this transition from being marketing dependent to being infrastructure driven, it's already happening. I think over the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see the most successful businesses make this critical transition. They'll move away from constantly spending money on ads and instead invest in a data-driven system that finds opportunities for them. It's a shift from renting attention to owning intelligence. And that leaves us with one final and really crucial question to think about. As the ground is literally shifting beneath the industry, is your business built on the old, crumbling foundation of volume? Or are you building the new, sturdy infrastructure of signal? Is your business truly built to last?